Welcome to Richie's podcast, where you gain precious tools and tips in creating your beautiful, awesome, thriving life, even as life is going and sometimes in face of adversities. And this podcast is delivered alongside the International Childhood Cancer Charity, where we empower, in addition to emotionally and physically heal impoverished children globally, one child at a time. And today we are very honored and very thrilled to have Francine with us. Welcome, Francine. Thank you so much for the gift of your time and brilliance. Thank you for being with us today. Would you care sharing with our audience, what is it that you do?
Thank you, Brigitte. Thank you for having me. I am a Reiki Master, psychic, and all-around healer. I think it all goes hand in hand with each other.
Yeah, that definitely goes hand in hand, and that is so beautiful to that you are a healer. How do you get into this? Did you kind of like, growing up and say, I think I want to become a Reiki master, a psychic, and a healer, and do this really tough works helping people? How did or how did you come into it? How did you get into doing what you're doing?
Well, I didn't grow up thinking I was going to do this. I probably grew up thinking I'd end up as a criminal. I was a horrible child. I actually had a spiritual awakening, and I was led to this. So it was tough because I had no idea what was going on. I just knew weird things were happening. I was hearing things, seeing things I didn't know. And I started to take a class on just holistic healing, and it just gave snippets of just different, aspects. And I really thought the Reiki was fascinating. So I decided to take one class on that, which one class led to about 5 or 6 classes. I just like to hear different instructors speak and talk because you learn something different from all of them. And then, the psychic was coming in, and like, oh, I guess I can, work it all together. And then there's mediumship now coming in. So it all goes hand in hand though. And I think it's all about healing because that is one of the main, we all have things we need to heal from, whether they're conscious, subconscious, in our DNA, we just don't know.
And you mentioned just now while we were chatting briefly, sometimes even sounds like things that's not what we're doing. It's like you say, some could be even from past generations and things like that. Things that when you were, what did you say? The before you were born, which is very true. Before we were born and the moment we're born, we're kind of like bombarded by this whole.
Yeah, we already have strikes against us because we're carrying embedded in our DNA things from people we've never met. We may be related, but we never met them. We don't know. And they say that disease is dis-ease, and it has to do with how, but like you work with children. How can a child at such a young age be responsible for living a life of like stress or bad eating so much so that they're getting cancer? That just doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah. Like you said, it's an onion with layers and then sections and
right. It's that sometimes people talk about healing. I'm like, you know what, healing is like a lot of time people has this concept of peeling onion. when we're talking about healing, but it's not only that, but it's like you just said, it's sections with multiple layers. And back to your mentioning here, and then some of our audience might have heard about this or might not. Nowadays, they actually show study. In the past, honestly, I used to kind of like, whatever, generation trauma, what a big BS, you know what I mean? And then and nowadays they're showing more and more study that trauma that's happened, say, to us, it's actually caused change in things like methylation, which is the way the DNA being processed. And that will pass to the next generation. So generations that, I think that's one of the study look at the Holocaust survivor. And so the trauma that they experience during, whether it's a Holocaust, war, or whatever happened in your life, it caused changes in your DNA. And we know that the DNA passed from you to your kid, and the kid passed it to the next, to your grandkid, and so on and so forth. So yeah, nowadays we know that it's not just an esoteric kind of thing. So, but that's,
Yeah, it's such a huge subject, but hopefully someday soon in the near future, we will usher in the new earth to where we don't have these diseases and sicknesses and all this craziness, and we can live like we were supposed to.
right. Live with true freedom from inside out. Now, you mentioned
Awesome.
Reiki. You're a Reiki master. Would you mind educate our audience? What is Reiki? Not everybody know. I mean, a lot of time we hear about Reiki, and just like you say earlier, sometimes it sounds like this esoteric thing.
Woo-woo.
But Reiki woo-woo, which basically, but you and I know Reiki is really not a woo-woo thing. And it's something that's very powerful when in terms of healing physically as well as emotionally and some other. But you're the Reiki master. Would you care sharing with our audience what is Reiki and how it might help people?
Well, first let me say I consider the first ultimate Reiki master to be Jesus. He could lay hands on people. It wasn't him that was healing the people. He was using what is available to each and every one of us, which is the universal life force energy. And that's what Reiki means. And it's not my energy, because I don't think anybody would be doing Reiki if we were using our own personal energy. It would be just too exhausting. And I'm not a healer. I'm just the conduit. So, yeah, Reiki is just where the Reiki person channels in the universal life force energy through their body and through the use of sacred symbols, whatever assistance you decide to call in. I personally work with the archangels, and I don't even, psychically I may say, okay, let me move my hands here. But now if my hands are here and they need healing elsewhere, trust me that Reiki has a mind of its own. It knows exactly where to go, how much you need. It is what it is. And it's so hard to describe and explain. Like, I was giving Reiki to somebody. I'm in the United States. She's in Australia. She told me exactly where my hands were whenever I moved them in real time. And it was like, and that was when I was just first starting. And I was like, oh, this is just crazy. But in the quantum field, there is no time and space. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it's how it does what it does. I don't know. I don't think I need to question it. I just know it works. And it's not Okay, can it cure cancer? Sometimes. Yeah, I'm sure it could sometimes. The how and the why and the who and the what, I don't know. It's not like somebody's abilities to channel this energy that will make it work or not work. There is still a divine plan for everybody, but, like in my opinion, it should be offered in all hospitals. You could be in pain. It helps alleviate the pain without having to use all these pills. Especially nowadays with the craziness of it all. And if somebody's nervous, if you have, say, a small child who has to go have surgery, they're freaking out. You know, you perform a little bit of Reiki, and they're calm. I just think it's a wonderful thing. I use it on myself. I use it on my animals, on other people's animals, on other people. And you're right, it does. It's a physical healing as well as an emotional healing. Like I said, I don't work alone, so
I love that. I love how I love two things that you say. I mean, firstly, the Reiki being universal life force energy, but I love to that is so what you were saying was you are in the US, the person was in Australia, and then let's say in if you were to be looking at a picture, you move your hand toward her shoulder and she would be able to tell. Wow, that is amazing. That is really amazing. The concept of no time and space. But I suppose there is a saying that everything is connected in the universe. I mean, energy, I think Einstein, the one that says, right? Energy is energy and it's flow from one to the next and it cannot be destroyed. It just energy from the US and energy in Australia's energy, life force energy. But that's go ahead.
not everybody though can feel Reiki. Personally, I don't. Even when I Reiki myself, I don't feel it flow. Um, but most people do. But just because you don't feel it doesn't mean that it's not working. And just because a Reiki session ends doesn't mean the Reiki stops flowing. The Reiki will slow way down and it will flow until usually it could flow for a day or two, depending on what the person requires.
Wow, that's awesome. So it's because it's energy, it's continue on flowing and it's continue bringing healing to the person. That is wonderful. And I love how I've known many Reiki master, but I never have anybody put it the way you put it, that which is the number one Reiki master is Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That is just fascinating to me, and because as you mentioned earlier, some people says it's such a woo woo thing, but let's bring out the cross and hold it up there, and at the same times we know that, like you say, Jesus uses his hand to take care of a lot of things, whether it's taming the Sea of Galilee or to heal someone. And this is using all the life energy and life force. That is so beautiful. Thank you for
You're welcome. Now, if you think about it, okay, Jesus is the Son of God or Source or whatever you want to call him, but aren't we all? Yes, he studied, he was enlightened. I will say that that's something the rest of us will probably just strive for. We can become more enlightened, but to get to that level, uh, very few people do that. And that's okay. I'm still taking my lessons and learning what I'm supposed to learn. But we are all interconnected. So even though he's Jesus or Buddha or whoever, whatever divine master there is, the rest of us have at our disposal the same things that they do. Just how we choose to use them, whether we choose to use them.
That's really true. That is true. Aren't we all the whatever that your one's person belief is, whether you call it God or Buddha or something, but we are all part of the whole universal energy, like you said. That is very true, and that's very beautiful. Are there times when one should not be using Reiki or thinking about receiving help through Reiki? Are there I guess if you were to say it in a Western medical term, are there contraindications? Is there certain people, certain condition, or certain anything where Reiki should not be used?
Heart conditions occasionally, depending on what the issue is, just because of the energy. Pregnant women can receive Reiki cautiously. Like, I know you shouldn't be trying to give Reiki if I can't sit here and have wine and then go on and do Reiki. It's just not smart. But no, mostly Reiki can be done to anybody or anything. And it's not even dealing with humans per se. You can Reiki the past. You can Reiki the future. Say like a friend of mine was going on a job interview and they suck at job interviews and they really just wanted to and they needed this job and they had to do good. Well, you said Reiki to that interview time and place, and it's like it's waiting for you when you get there. It's not technically how it is, but yeah, that's the easiest way to put it. I Reiki my animals. Reiki is actually really good for animals because we all have chakras. You can Reiki plants. Actually, I need to go do my apple tree tomorrow, so it's not looking too good.
I know. Oh wow, that's fascinating. So if you might be feeling fine, but whether it's your pets, your dog, your cat, your bunny, or perhaps a tree, if you want your Christmas tree, if you get Christmas tree to be happier longer, you should consider sending a lot of good life energy called Reiki to it. That is fascinating. I never really thought that. I mean, I've had Reiki done on me, but I never really thought about, the plans or something. I need to when I get back to Nevada, I need to call you and say, hey, can you Reiki my palm tree?
Yeah, a friend of mine, her cat was biting a lot, and I sent him some Reiki a couple times, and he's doing much better because her husband was getting ready to get rid of the cat. She goes, but I don't want to give my cat away. But he was dealing with cancer, and so he was going through chemo and radiation, and he wasn't feeling good. He didn't want the cat biting him. I don't blame him. So yeah, send her a little bit of Reiki. She said you could immediately tell right after the Reiki session that I said he's just a little wound up right now. So.
Oh, yeah. The cat probably can sense all the changes in the person too, to start with. That kind of contact.
Oh, yeah.
So.
But needless to say, my friend has been diagnosed 100% cured right now.
All right, that's awesome. That is wonderful. That is really great. So are you saying that Reiki can help we're not saying it's cure cancer, but at least let's say people who are doing the International Childhood Cancer Charity, people who are, let's say, going through treatments and things like that, can Reiki help with its side effect?
Oh, most definitely. Reiki could help with the cancer. That's not a guarantee, but the side effects are a different story. It may not get rid of your symptoms or side effects, but it will definitely lessen the effects that you are feeling. It'll help the nausea, help the aches and pains, or whatever it is you're dealing with. But then again, it also helps the family members. They're stressed, they're worried. Like with the kids, these parents have got to be freaking out, and that helps calm them so they're in a better state to deal with the child.
So it helps not just the person going through the cancer treatment, whether the child or adult, but when you work with the family or you work with the person, it's because it's energy, it'll help all the other family member.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, the parents, or if it is a parents, it help with their kid and everybody else to be in a better state. That's beautiful. That's very important because we know, at least from the form of grief, as a grief specialist, it's like when one person's going through thing, the anticipatory grief is like everyone involved. And that's beautiful to hear that the Reiki that you do on one can bring good for many.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine, since I don't have children, but I do have my animals, and so I get it. But the way parents must feel when their child is sick, and then they have to pretend to be strong in front of this child, and they're holding it together, and the parents just want to go in the other room and lose it themselves, and deal with their issues. Yeah, and you don't always have to do Reiki one-on-one. Like, you could do the whole family. I would suggest do the patient separately, since they need it for more of the physical. And then you could, have like a group session for the family to help what they're going through.
Yeah, yeah. That is beautiful. That is wonderful. And for people who are going through challenging time, whether it's cancer or something else, is firstly, it sounds like it will be very beneficial for them to connect with you and allow you to support them. But let's say some people said, you know what, until I'm able to do that, do you have any whether it's perhaps a personal practice or a certain thing that one can do as they are going through life, and life try to throw us curveballs many times? Is there anything that from your experience, whether it is as a Reiki master or a psychic or a medium, on something that can help people as we go through life?
Realize you're never alone. Um, do not hesitate to ask for help. Whatever the help is that you feel you need, whether it's professional help, maybe you need some medication to help you cope. But I don't feel that, personally, in my opinion, there are things you can do to not need the medications to, relieve your anxiety and stuff like that. And that's Reiki. This is going to sound really lame, but I would say practice gratitude, especially in the trying times. That's when you need to realize what you can be grateful for. And it does help change your circumstances. if you can be grateful for the things that you do have, practice mindfulness meditations. That's always a good one because it keeps you present in the moment. So you're not freaking out about what's going to happen half an hour from now, because that doesn't matter. Anything can happen to change what happens in half an hour. Energy is fluid. It's always moving, always changing. So when we're grounded in the present, I do feel that it does help. And keep your chakras balanced. That's a good, and yes, getting a chakra alignment from a Reiki master does help, but there are exercises you can do as well. Like to stay grounded, walk around barefoot. Just go outside and take a deep breath of fresh air. There's so many little things, and you can Google it and you can learn so much about it. Because not everybody can afford Reiki, and I get that, so practice what you need to do. You can eat a potato to help ground yourself because it's a root vegetable. Or wear a chakra bracelet or something, because it's funny, though, that the things that can go wrong when your chakras are not aligned, there's not much it won't do. See, like I say a lot. That's my throat chakra, because I struggle with my throat chakra. So there's a lot of things that can come about, like especially in a stressful situation, everything can be so blown wide open and made so much worse than it needs to be if your chakras are unbalanced, because our responses aren't going to be what they should be. But definitely staying grounded, that's a big one, because grounded has to do with your fight or flight mode. So your responses to things can be really magnified if you're ungrounded.
That is, that's interesting when you say, if your chakras not balanced, your response can be just blown out of proportions. That your response not going to be harmonious, so to say, and that could be because. And I never hear that. That was very interesting. When you say it's just the people saying a lot, and that could be because of your third chakra can be in a better can be in a different state. That is very interesting for that. Now for people who are listening and then kind of new to this, how many chakras do a person has?
Hundreds.
100.
Maybe that. So many. But we have 7 main chakras: root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown, that do deal with our responses. How, like, you say your partner's not interested in sex, or maybe you're not interested in sex. It goes to your sacral chakra. Because chances are that's imbalanced or blocked or whatever. And it's something that we need to work on a regular basis. You just can't have them balanced and think they're going to stay that way. Because guess what? Life's not stopping. And that's what got them in balance to begin with. So, yeah. But that's where the smaller exercises come into practice. And you could sit down and do a chakra meditation. A lot of people think meditation too is woo-woo, or I can't sit still. One thing about meditation is Nobody told you your mind cannot wander. It has to be, it wanders, pull yourself back and move on. And if you're new to meditation, start with 5 minutes. Gradually build yourself up.
And sometimes, I mean, if you really can't sit still with meditations, a lot of time people have this concept, oh, I got to be, sitting still and looking at this little one single imaginary point on a freaking wall or something like that. And the truth is, you could even be doing a walking meditation.
Exactly. Yoga. That, for me, yoga is not meditation. Yoga is like the opposite. But when I do my other workouts, to me, that's meditation. It's just being centered, focused, breathing. Dancing, you can meditate while you dance. There's many ways to do it. It's just what people are comfortable with.
Yeah, got to find what works for yourself. We are all unique, but that is beautiful that you when you mentioned just now how it could be. It's not just, sometimes we talk about, people think about chakras like physical illness, but even the way you respond to things and your lack of interest, perhaps lack of progress, and it could be because of your chakras are imbalances, are in an imbalanced state. That is very amazing. That's very amazing. Now, how do people, if somebody want to work with you or have more question about chakra and Reiki, and as well as the mediumship and psychic, how do they connect with you?
They could go to my website, which is www.almaspiritconnections.com. Maybe you can put that in the description. Or Facebook. I'm usually pretty close to Facebook. But like on my website, you can WhatsApp me. There's a button, just connect me to WhatsApp. You can email me, call me on the phone, depending where you live. Sure, yeah, I made it pretty easy to find me, so.
And you also have a talk show or something like that?
I can't hear you all of a sudden. I don't know what happened.
And you also have a talk show or a radio show, something like that? So that is, Francine website is almaspiritconnection.com. And I was saying you also have a talk show or a radio show or something like that.
Yes, I do 2 podcasts. One is about spirituality. The other one, it's spiritual, but not for the faint of heart. It's called Reality Exposed: Unmasking Global Deceit. We get into some more gritty conversations on that one.
Super. So if you like to hear more about spirituality talk, and when you're ready to go to the next level, then you would want to also listen to Francine's and her podcast. She has 2 different, and I'm sure you can find all this information on her website as well. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And as we complete our conversations here, which is thank you so much. It's such a beautiful conversation. Do you have one final message for our audience?
Just try to be the most authentic you can be.
Say it again.
Try to be the most authentic you that you can be.
Yes. That's beautiful. The most authentic you, because at the end of the day, with something in you, your hearts know who you are. So
yes, and I think when we do that, it brings us back to our connection to source.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Thank you so much, Francine. Thank
Thank
you
you for having
so
me.
much for sharing your wisdom and your tips and tools and thoughts and with us. Thank you so much. And for you, my friend, thank you for joining us today. Please share one or two gold nuggets in the comment below so we can continue to learn and empower from each other and empower each other. And please share these conversations with your friends and family, because they too deserve to thrive and be happy, healthy, and wealthy. And this is Dr. BirgitteTan, your grief specialist and founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity. It's such an honor and a delight to be with you today. Thank you again, Francine. And my friend, I look forward to see you again very, very soon.